Five Nights at Freddy's arguably has one of the biggest collections of fan game spin-offs. This is partially thanks to the devoted fanbase and adoration the games have garnered over the years. These fan games are sometimes lovable homages to the originals, but often they tend to be poorly developed and even creepy at times. Today, we are counting down the top 10 scary Five Nights at Freddy's ripoffs. These are games that were either completely cloned from one of the originals, fan-made, or took inspiration from the series and attempted to claim it as their own work. A mix of both good intentions and bad. So let's dive into our list and these Five Nights at Phonies. At number 10, Fake Five Nights at Freddy's 4. Let's begin our list with a controversial ripoff that some of you may have heard of. Back in 2015, a developer by the name of Lazada Pilati released an unofficial version of Five Nights at Freddy's 4 on the iOS App Store for $9.99, almost triple price of the original game. Now, the game was an exact clone of the first Five Nights at Freddy's, even using the description text that appeared for that game. The ratings for the game were also copied and pasted from the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 official app. When players finished downloading the game, text in Greek would appear that read, "Where is the hidden key to unlock the treasure in the difficult maze?" The music in the game was removed, replaced with a bunch of random sound effects like wind blowing, dogs barking, a girl screaming, and other random sounds. Somehow, that made it through Apple's review team. So the creator of Five Nights at Freddy's, Scott Cawthon, filed documents to ask for a subpoena for Apple to disclose who the developer was. Eventually, the game was pulled, and Lazada Pilati, the author of the game, remains a mystery despite this. Moving on to number 9, Five Nights at Chuck E. Cheese. The creation of this fan game was kind of inevitable, wasn't it? A game like Five Nights at Freddy's, but placed in our very own real-world anthropomorphic mascot-ridden pizzeria for kids. Chuck E. Cheese's. It's perhaps the scariest version of Chuck E. Cheese's that we've seen outside of Shane Dawson's claim that they reuse pizza slices. Definitely Google that if you have no idea what I'm talking about. Anyway, this ripoff is stylized in the same way as Freddy's, but with different location graphics and a whole lot of terrifying Chuck E. Cheese imagery. Although it's worth noting that the Chuck E. Cheese jump scare, when he murders you, is alright, but he still looks real darn cuddly. It just feels like a blown-up PNG with some mild inverting of his textures and colors. The other downside is that this game, and several others on GameJolt's website, were at one point reported to contain malware that affected some players' computers. So if you feel like dabbling in some rip-off Freddy games, caution friends, you've been warned. Moving on to number 8, Four Night at Fear. Ever wondered what a mashup of Doom and Five Nights at Freddy's would look like? Well, apparently someone did, because the result of that curiosity is this fan-made game called Four Night at Fear. It's more so a Doom game rather than a Five Nights at Freddy's game, but it involves you fighting against giant fireball-spitting Freddy Bear ripoffs. It's also a Minecraft game, so make your own assumptions of it based off of that. Unfortunately, we can confirm it is less interesting than it sounds thanks to the lack of fluid movement mechanics found in actual Doom games, and it takes a while for you to even encounter a Freddy Bear. In at number 7, Freddy Exe. Of course there's a Freddy Exe game. If you're familiar with Sonic EXE or the slew of EXE games that are ripoffs of other games, but generally use the same format, you probably completely understand how this game plays out. If not, let's give you the Cole's Notes version. Essentially, this is a basic platformer game a la the original Sonic the Hedgehog, where you walk your way forward to your own demise. These games always involve some sort of haunted demonic aspect too, and generally end with you dying regardless of what you do. It's all about the experience and the jump scares and the evil with these. So if EXE games float your boat, we'd highly suggest giving this one a go and exploring the other demonic forms that Freddy and the gang can be depicted as. Moving on to number 6, Bearhaven Nights Horror. The description of this game straight up declares that, I quote, "Please note that this is not another Five Nights at Freddy's clone." And guess what, friends? That's actually pretty spot on. Because this game is more like indie horror game Knock Knock. Context time. Knock Knock is a beautiful little game that's quite terrifying, taking place in an unusual cabin deep in the woods. The cabin once served as a lab, and the latest lodger there has started to notice strange changes in familiar surroundings. Things have gone missing, creepy noises and rattling can be heard, and there's something nefarious living in the surrounding woods. Sets the stage for something creepy, right? Well, Bearhaven has a similar kind of gameplay where you move through various rooms and look for broken electrical panels to turn on lights, all while hiding from teddy bears that have managed to get inside of this creepy motel. Not as good as Knock Knock, but still pretty fun. You need to turn off anything that would attract the Freddy Bear's attention. See where it takes the Five Nights at Freddy's inspiration from now? Up next, number 5, Hello Neighbor mod. While it's not a complete ripoff of a Five Nights at Freddy's game, this mod is a pretty scary one we thought we'd include on this list thanks to its fright factor, and the fact that we can't resist a good mashup. Called the Hello Neighbor Project Five Nights at Freddy's, this mod takes the Hello Neighbor map and turns it into a Five Nights game. The house becomes Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, equipped with animatronics waiting to murder you and jump scare you in the same fashion that the neighbor attacks you in Hello Neighbor. The idea is that you need to escape from the pizzeria. Since it was created in 2018, it's only ever been a prototype, so who knows if it'll ever fully be finished. And at number 4, Five Nights at McDonald's. This title is a pretty self-explanatory one. Rather than it being a knockoff of Freddy and the gang attacking you, in this game you must survive 5 nights at a McDonald's, with Ronald McDonald stalking you, wanting to kill you, not surviving 5 nights of eating McDonald's and then having food poisoning. Also a plausible pitch for a game. Not for those with a fear of clowns, that's for sure, especially since Ronald looks like he crawled up from the depths of hell, along with his other McDonald's mascot buddies. The Hamburglar in particular is pretty unsettling. Up next, number 3, 5-7 Nights at Fernando. This is a strange one. For starters, it feels like it was generated by some sort of game design bot. A mobile game available on the Google Play Store, its description reads that you, I quote, race against time to avoid the scary teddy bear that will run into your path as always. Similar to some of the other titles on this list, the game's developers have a sense of humor, including in said description of the game, where it says, it has been, I quote, played by a majority of Google Play Store community, and it has, I quote, cutting-edge 5 3D graphics, night and gnarly impact at Freddy's with 2 sound effects demo. Yes, that is gibberish. And also, this gem, I quote, one of the finest video games created in our time. It's not, in case the sarcasm went over your head there. And if it didn't, well, take a closer look. The game, which promotes itself to be some sort of Temple Run style title, kind of plays as such, except for the fact that you end up dying a lot for no reason, and often not even thanks to the bears attacking you. And at number 2, 7 Nights at Buddy's. 7 Nights at Buddy's is a low poly borderline demake of the Freddy games that has a subtle sense of humor that we actually appreciate, like a security camera map drawn in MS Paint. Ooh. For starters, it's worth noting that the developer has actually created a slew of copycat games, all with titles that contain arbitrary numbers and funny grammar, like Five Nights at Buddy 3, Night at Freddy 2, and more. They're kind of derpy and really funky to play, yet kind of existential and filled with dread and emptiness. Aside from your security camera map, you don't have much to work with, and most of the game is featureless. This makes the horrifying looking version of Freddy, aka Freddy, aka Buddy, even worse to encounter. It just slides on over and murders you, not before sitting outside of your door for what feels like an eternity. Definitely recommended for those who love a good parody, but also a fun little scare and dig internet humor. And last but not least, in at number 1, 5 Nights at Thomas's. Where 5 Nights at Chuck E. Cheese's failed, 5 Nights at Thomas's managed to persevere. Aside from being kind of hilarious thanks to the threat being Thomas the Tank Engine, this wonderful little game involves you working at a pizzeria railway, or a pizza railway, feeding coal into an oven engine contraption, and a single door where Thomas lingers. You need to refill the coal in order to give your door power and keep it closed to keep Thomas at bay. It's simple but highly effective when Thomas manages to get through and murder you. It's a fun and minimalistic game and provides a solid scare if you're looking for a game that's not super committal. And a game where you're murdered by a nostalgic choo-choo train, if that's up your alley. Alright, there we have it, friends. What other Five Nights ripoffs do you find scary? Give us a shout in those comments below and let us know which ones we should check out, and if you'd like a part 2 of this list. Now help spread that love by hitting the like button on this video, share it with a pal, and be sure to subscribe to Top 10 Gaming for more lists just like this. In the meantime, thanks for watching, friends. Happy gaming.